crystal halls of Nexus Prime Station. His black uniform was clean and pressed. The Earth flag on his shoulder showed bright against the dark fabric. Behind him, Ambassador Park Minji carried a briefcase full of trade papers. Commander Kim Jinwoo stayed close, his hand near his weapon. "Are you ready for this?" Park Minji asked. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed worry. "Just another meeting," Do-Yun said. But something felt wrong. The alien guards at every door watched them too closely. The usual friendly faces were gone. They reached the main chamber. It was huge, like a glass bowl turned upside down. 47 different alien species sat in floating chairs around the room. Some looked like lizards, others were made of crystal. A few were just clouds of gas in metal suits. At the center sat High Arbiter Thex. His body was made of living diamond. Light moved through him like water. He was older than human civilization. When he spoke, his voice rang like bells. "The humans will sit there." Thex pointed to 3 chairs in the middle of the room, not at the sides with the other species. In the center, like they were on trial. Do-Hyun felt his stomach drop. "Ambassador Park," he whispered. "This isn't a trade meeting." The 3 humans sat down. The room became quiet. Too quiet. Even the machines stopped humming. Counselor Veltar stood up. He was 8 feet tall with green scales and yellow eyes. His people, the Zephyrians, controlled the biggest trade routes in the galaxy. He held a datapad in his clawed hands. "Humans of Earth," Veltar began, his voice like grinding stone. "You stand accused of crimes against galactic peace." "What crimes?" Do-Hyun stood up fast. "We've done nothing wrong." "Sit down," Thex commanded. The diamond being's voice made the walls shake. "You will speak when asked." Veltar continued reading. First charge, aggressive expansion. In the past 50 years, humans have built colonies on 17 worlds. You expand faster than any species in Council history. Park Minji stood up slowly. "With respect, Counselor Veltar, all our colonies follow Council law. We filed the proper papers. We paid the required fees." Second charge, Veltar ignored her. "Refusal to share technology. Humans have developed new medical treatments, new engines, new weapons. You keep these secrets to yourselves." "That's not true." Do-Yun's face turned red. "We shared our cancer cure with the Alterians. It saved millions of their people. We gave the Proximans our habitat technology when their world was dying." Third charge, Veltar's voice got louder. "Unpredictable behavior. Humans are too emotional, too violent, too dangerous to remain in civilized space." Commander Kim Jinwoo laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Violent? Who fought the Void Swarm when they attacked the Kepler colonies? Who died protecting alien worlds?" Murmurs filled the chamber. Some aliens nodded. Others hissed or made strange noises. A few species looked uncomfortable. High Arbiter Thex raised one crystal hand. Silence fell again. "The charges have been read. The accused may present their defense." Ambassador Park Minji stepped forward. She was small compared to the alien giants around her, but her voice was strong. "Honored Arbiter, respected counselors, we came here in peace. We've been members of this council for 60 years. In that time, we've helped save 3 species from extinction. We've shared our knowledge freely. We've fought beside you against common enemies." She opened her briefcase and pulled out a crystal data chip. "These are the records. When the Alterian plague spread, human doctors worked day and night to find a cure. We could have sold it. Instead, we gave it away for free. 2 billion Alterians are alive today because of human kindness. When the Proximan homeworld started dying, human engineers designed new habitat domes. We didn't ask for payment. We asked only that they live. When the Void Swarm came from dark space, human soldiers fought on the front lines. 30,000 humans died protecting worlds that weren't even ours." Park Minji's voice grew stronger. "You call us violent? We fight only to protect others. You call us greedy? We give away our greatest discoveries. You call us dangerous? The only danger we pose is to those who would harm the innocent. Some aliens, in the chamber made approving sounds. The Altarians, still grateful for their lives, clicked their mandibles in agreement. The Proximans flashed their bioluminescent patches in support, but Veltar was not impressed. "Pretty words," he said. "But words do not change facts. Humans expand too fast, they take too much space, they ask too many questions. They challenge our ancient ways." "Our ancient ways?" An Altarian counselor stood up. "Your ancient ways would have let my species die while you debated in committees." "Silence," Thex's voice boomed. "The council will now vote." Captain Dohyun stood up one more time. "Before you vote, remember this. When you needed help, humans answered. When you called for aid, we came. When you faced darkness, we brought light. If you cast us out now, who will answer when you call again?" The voting began. Each species cast their decision into the central crystal. Red lights meant guilty, blue lights meant innocent, green lights meant abstain. The lights began to appear. Red, red, red. A few blue lights from the species humans had saved, but mostly red. The ancient species feared change. They feared humans who moved too fast, thought too much, asked too hard questions. When the voting ended, 31 species voted guilty. Only 12 voted innocent. 4 abstained. High Arbiter Thex stood up. His crystal body caught the chamber's lights and threw rainbows on the walls. "By the ancient laws of the Galactic Council, the species known as humanity is found guilty of the charges presented. The sentence is exile. All humans must leave council space within 1 standard year. All trade agreements are ended. All military cooperation is finished. Any human colonies beyond the Sol system must submit to council oversight or face blockade. This is the will of the council. This is the law of the galaxy." Captain Dohyun felt the words hit him like physical blows. 60 years of friendship, gone. Decades of cooperation, erased. Lives saved, battles fought, hands extended in friendship, all meaningless. But as the shock faded, something else took its place. Not sadness, not fear, anger. Pure, human anger. He stood up straight, his shoulders back, his head high. When he spoke, his voice carried to every corner of the great chamber. "You want us gone? Fine, we'll go. But remember this day, Council of Cowards. Remember the day you threw away the best friends you ever had. You think we need you? You think we can't survive without your approval? You're wrong. We'll build our own worlds. We'll make our own alliances. We'll forge our own destiny among the stars. And when you're sitting here in 100 years still debating and arguing while the galaxy burns around you, remember that you had a choice. You could have had humanity as your greatest ally. Instead, you chose to make us your replacement." The 3 humans turned and walked toward the exit. No one tried to stop them, no one spoke. The chamber was silent except for the sound of human footsteps on crystal floors. At the doorway, Captain Dohyun turned back one last time. "You say we're unpredictable? You're right. You have no idea what we're capable of when we set our minds to it. You're about to find out. Goodbye, Galactic Council. It wasn't nice knowing you." The doors closed behind them with a soft whisper. In the chamber, 47 alien species sat in uncomfortable silence, wondering if they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. Outside, the 3 humans walked toward their ship. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity's real story was just beginning. 3 months after the Council's verdict, President Moon Jae-ho stood before the United Earth Assembly. The Great Hall was packed with representatives from every nation, every colony, every human settlement in the solar system. Outside, billions watched on screens across Earth and Mars. Moon's face was calm, but his eyes burned with determination. "My fellow humans," he began, "today we face the greatest challenge in our history. The Galactic Council has cast us out. They call us dangerous. They say we don't belong among the stars." The hall was silent. Even the reporters stopped moving. They are wrong, Moon continued, his voice growing stronger. We don't just belong among the stars. We were born for them. If they won't have us, as partners, then we'll show them what humanity can achieve on its own. He pressed a button on his podium. A massive hologram appeared above the assembly. It showed star maps, ship designs, and colony plans. I present to you the Stellar Independence Initiative. We're not just leaving council space, we're going to build something better, something the galaxy has never seen before. In the back rows, Dr. Yoon Hyeri smiled. She had waited years to reveal her secret project. Now was the time. Admiral Choi Sang-min sat in his command chair aboard the battleship Seoul's Pride. Round here, his officers worked at their stations. On the main screen, Earth grew smaller and smaller. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're receiving final messages from the surface. Put them through. The voice of his daughter came through the speakers. She was only 8 years old. Daddy, come home safe. Show them what humans can do. Choi closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, they were hard as steel. All ships, this is Admiral Choi. We are now beyond Earth's gravity well. Begin final preparations for the great departure. Across the solar system, the greatest fleet in human history prepared to leave. Not just warships, but colony vessels, research ships, factory ships, hospital ships, everything humanity needed to start over. Dr. Yoon Hyeri stood in her laboratory on Europa. Around her, machines hummed and screens showed complex data. Her assistant, Dr. Kim Minho, checked the final calculations. Are you sure this will work? Minho asked. He looked nervous. I've been working on Project Genesis for 15 years, Yoon replied. The terraforming technology is ready. We can turn dead worlds into gardens. We can make life bloom where none existed before. She touched a container holding strange glowing seeds. These aren't just plants, they're hope. Each seed can transform soil, clean air, create an ecosystem. The Council thinks we need their worlds. They're wrong. We can make our own. In the asteroid belt, engineer Kang Sola watched her greatest creation take shape. The quantum tunnel drive was beautiful and terrible at the same time. It looked like a metal flower with energy dancing between its petals. Final test, everyone, she announced to her team. If this works, we'll never need Council jump gates again. The drive powered up. Space itself seemed to bend around it. A tunnel of light opened, leading to nowhere and everywhere at once. It's working, her assistant shouted. We're reading stable quantum fields. Kang smiled. The Council controls the jump gates, but they don't control space itself. Now we can go anywhere we want. Captain Park Tae-hyung stood on the bridge of the colony, ship New Seoul. Behind him, 50,000 humans waited in cryo-sleep chambers. They had volunteered to be the first wave, the pioneers who would build humanity's new empire. His ship was massive, 5 kilometers long and 2 kilometers wide. It carried everything needed to start a civilization: factories, farms, schools, hospitals, and dreams. Captain, his navigator reported, we're approaching the jump point. All other colony ships are in position. Through his window, Tae-hyung could see the rest of the fleet. Hundreds of ships stretched out like stars in the darkness. Each one carried part of humanity's future. This is Captain Park to all vessels, he broadcast. Today we leave the old galaxy behind. Today we begin the human age. Follow me to the stars. On Earth, President Moon watched the departure from the Space Command Center. General Kim Naeun stood beside him, her uniform decorated with medals from a dozen conflicts. They're really going, she said quietly. Half our population heading into the unknown. Moon nodded. The brave half. The ones who refuse to bow to tyrants. They'll build something amazing out there. What about the ones staying behind? We'll follow soon. Enough. This is just the beginning. Admiral Choi's fleet was the first to make the jump. The quantum tunnel drives opened portals in space, showing glimpses of distant stars. One by one, the warships disappeared through the tunnels of light. Behind them came the colony ships. New Seoul led the way, its massive bulk sliding through, the quantum tunnel like a whale diving into an ocean of stars. Dr. Yoon's research vessels followed, carrying the seeds of new worlds. Engineer Kang's factory ships brought the tools to build new civilizations. The exodus took 3 days. When it was over, nearly 2 billion humans had left Council space forever. Captain Park was the first to arrive at their destination. His sensors showed a yellow star with 12 planets. The third planet was perfect. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It looked like Earth's younger sister. "All hands. This is the captain," Park announced. "Welcome to our new home. I name this World New Harmony, the first planet of the human colonial empire." The colony ship entered orbit. Smaller vessels launched toward the surface, carrying the first human settlers to their new world. As they landed, Dr. Yoon's seeds were already being planted. Within hours, alien soil began to change. Earth plants took root in foreign ground. The air itself became cleaner as the modified organisms did their work. On the flagship's bridge, Park received a final message from Earth. President Moon's voice came across the vast distance between stars. "To all brave souls who venture into the unknown, you carry with you the best of humanity, our hopes, our dreams, our refusal to surrender. Build well, my friends. Build something worthy of the human spirit. And remember, this isn't goodbye. This is hello to our new destiny." 2 years later, the Council sent scout ships to find the humans. They searched the nearby systems, expecting to find struggling colonies begging to return. Instead, they found empty space. No humans, no ships, no trace of where nearly half of Earth's population had gone. High Arbiter Thex called an emergency session. The crystal being's usual calm was cracked with worry. "They've vanished," he announced to the assembled council. 2 billion humans gone without a trace. Our sensors show nothing. Our spies report nothing. It's as if they never existed. Counselor Veltar shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Impossible. That many beings cannot simply disappear." "And yet they have," Thex replied. "The question now is, where did they go? And what are they planning?" In the farthest reaches of the galaxy, beyond Council sensors and spy networks, New Harmony thrived. The first human city rose from virgin soil. Farms stretched to the horizon. Children played in parks that hadn't existed a year before. Captain Park, now Governor Park, stood on his balcony overlooking the growing metropolis. Admiral Choi joined him, still wearing his military uniform but with a smile on his weathered face. "Any regrets?" Choi asked. Park watched human children play with pets that had never seen Earth. He saw farmers harvesting crops that grew in alien soil. He saw engineers building machines with technology the Council couldn't imagine. "None," he said. "They wanted us gone. They have no idea what they've unleashed." In the distance, construction crews worked on something new, not just buildings or farms, but launching pads, shipyards, training centers. The first wave of human expansion was over. The second wave was about to begin, and this time they wouldn't be alone. Word was spreading to other species, other worlds, other peoples who were tired of Council rule. The humans weren't just building colonies. They were building an alternative. The real work was just beginning. 5 years had passed since the Great Departure. Governor Lee Sun-ho stood on the observation deck of New Harmony's Capitol Tower. Below him, the City of Hope stretched for 50 kilometers in every direction. Flying cars moved between crystal spires. Parks full of earth and alien plants created green patches throughout the urban landscape. "Hard to believe we built all this in 5 years," said General Kim Naeun, joining him at the window. She wore the new uniform of the Colonial Defense Forces, dark blue with silver trim. "Dr. Yoon's terraforming technology made it possible," Sunho replied. "But it was human determination that made it real." Through the window, they could see the massive space elevator reaching up toward orbit. Ships came and went constantly, carrying people and supplies to the 6 other human worlds. In his laboratory, Dr. Bai Kyung-soo examined his latest creation. The plant in front of him looked normal, but it was anything but ordinary. Its roots could break down toxic metals in soil. Its leaves produced oxygen at 10 times the normal rate. Another breakthrough, his assistant said, looking at the data. This one can grow in pure sulfur soil. Bay smiled. The council species can only live on worlds that already support life. But we can make any world support life. That gives us advantages they never imagined. His computer chimed with a message from the exploration teams. Captain Shin had found 3 more habitable worlds in the Kepler region. But more importantly, she had found something else. Captain Shin floated in zero gravity aboard her scout ship Discovery. Through the view screen, she could see the alien vessel approaching. It was small, maybe 50 meters long, with organic curves that looked grown rather than built. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Shin of the human ship Discovery. Please identify yourself. The reply came in broken English. Human ship. We seek human ship. We are Kepler Collective. We need talk. Shin exchanged glances with her crew. First contact with a new species. The protocol was clear. Be cautious but friendly. Kepler Collective, you are welcome to come aboard. We come in peace. An hour later, Shin sat across from 3 alien beings in her conference room. They were small, maybe 4 feet tall, with gray skin and large eyes. They reminded her of the dolphins she had seen on Earth, intelligent and gentle. Their leader spoke through a translation device. We are Jorak of the Kepler Collective. We represent 12 species cast out by the Council. We heard rumors of humans who defied the Council. We came to see if rumors were true. They're true, Shin replied. We were banished 5 years ago. We've been building our own civilization ever since. Jorak's large eyes brightened. You survive? You thrive? The Council said you would die in the darkness between stars. The Council was wrong about many things. Back on New Harmony, Trademaster Lim Donghae received Captain Shin's report with great interest. The Kepler Collective controlled mining operations in 7 star systems. They had resources the humans needed, and the humans had technology the Collective wanted. Set up a meeting, he told his staff. Full diplomatic protocol. If we can bring the Collective into our trade network, it changes everything. 2 weeks later, representatives from both civilizations met on the neutral ground of Shin's ship. The negotiations lasted 3 days. When they ended, humanity had its first major ally. The Independent Trade Network is born, Lim announced to Governor Sunho. Free trade between free peoples, no council interference, no bureaucratic delays. General Kim Naeun watched the first joint military exercise between human and collective forces. The aliens flew ships that looked like living creatures. The humans used angular, efficient designs. Together, they were learning tactics that neither could achieve alone. Their technology is biological, her tactical officer reported. Self-healing hulls, living computers, organic weapons. Very different from our approach. Different, but compatible, Naeun replied. We can learn from each other. On the planet Prosperity, the second human colony, massive factories worked around the clock. The modular ship design that engineer Kang Sola had created was proving its worth. Human vessels could be reconfigured for any mission: exploration, transport, combat, or research. Production is up 300%, the factory manager reported to Governor Sunho via video link. We can build a cruiser in 2 weeks, a destroyer in 5 days. Quality over quantity, Sunho reminded him. Every ship that leaves our yards must be perfect. The human fleet was growing, but it was also evolving. The new ships were smaller than council vessels, but faster and more flexible. They used tactics based on mobility and surprise rather than brute force. In the Vega system, Captain Ryu Yunbi tested the latest fighter design. The Phantom-class ship was tiny compared to council fighters, but it could appear and disappear using short-range quantum jumps. Phantom 1 to control, she radioed. The new drive is working perfectly. I can jump behind enemy positions before they know I'm there. Copy that, Phantom 1. How's the weapon system? Ryu fired a burst at a target drone. The plasma bolts were smaller than council weapons, but much more accurate. Precise hits every time. Quality over power. Meanwhile, in council space, emergency meetings were becoming common. High Arbiter Thex floated in his crystal chamber reviewing intelligence reports that made no sense. "They've contacted the Kepler Collective?" he asked his spy master. "Yes, High Arbiter. Full diplomatic relations, trade agreements, military cooperation. The Collective is sharing their mining rights with the humans. And the humans are sharing what in return? Technology, medical advances, terraforming equipment. The Collective. Worlds are becoming more habitable every month." Thex's crystal body dimmed with worry. "How many worlds do the humans control now?" 7 confirmed colonies. "But our scouts report construction activity in at least 15 systems, and sir, there's something else." "What?" "The Tau Centauri Free States have broken off diplomatic relations with us. They're sending envoys to meet with the humans. In the Tau Centauri system, Ambassador Han Suyong met with the Free States Council. The Tau Centaurians were traders who had grown tired of council regulations and taxes. The council takes 30% of our profits," the lead counselor explained. "You offer true free trade, no taxes, no interference. All we ask is mutual respect and fair dealing," Han replied. "Trade with whoever you want, build whatever you need, live however you choose." The Tau Centaurian counselor's tentacles waved in agreement. "This is what we have wanted for centuries. When can we sign the formal agreement?" Within months, the independent trade network included the Kepler Collective, the Tau Centauri Free States, and the Vegan Mining Consortium. 3 major economic powers had joined with humanity to create an alternative to council control. Governor Sunho stood once again on his observation deck, but now he was looking at charts showing the growing alliance. Red dots showed human colonies. Blue dots showed allied worlds, green lines showed trade routes. "We're not just surviving," he told General Kim Neon. "We're thriving, and we're showing other species that there's an alternative to council rule." "The council is starting to notice," Neon warned. "Our intelligence reports show increased military activity near their borders with our space. Let them notice. We're not doing anything wrong. We're just living free." Dr. Bae Kyung-soo's latest breakthrough was his greatest yet. He had developed crops that could grow in zero atmosphere. Humans could now farm in space, on asteroids, on dead moons. Food production was no longer limited to planets. "This changes everything," he told the Science Council. "We can support 10 times our current population. We can build cities anywhere in the galaxy." Captain Shin Yura brought news of more allies. The Rigel Trade Federation wanted to join the network. The Altair Defense League was considering membership. Even some species still in the council were sending secret envoys. "The momentum is building," she reported to Governor Sunho. "Species throughout the galaxy are hearing about us. They want what we have, freedom to choose their own destiny. But with success came danger. Council spy ships were being spotted near human space. There were reports of council agents trying to infiltrate the new alliance. Some council hardliners were calling for military action." Trademaster Lim Donghae received a coded message that made his blood run cold. A council fleet was gathering at Nexus Prime, the same station where humans had been banished 5 years earlier. "They're not just watching anymore," he told the emergency council meeting. "They're preparing to act." Governor Sunho looked around, the table at the leaders who had built humanity's new empire. Scientists, soldiers, diplomats, engineers, all united by the dream of freedom among the stars. "Then we prepare as well," he said. "We've spent 5 years building something beautiful. Now we may have to fight to protect it." General Kim Neon activated the defense protocols. Throughout human space, ships began moving to defensive positions. The Alliance members were contacted and warned. The peaceful years were ending. The real test was about to begin. But as Sunho looked out at the thriving city below, he felt no fear. Humanity had been cast out and left to die. Instead, they had built something the galaxy had never seen before, a free alliance of equals, let them come, he whispered. "We'll show them what humans can do when they fight for something worth protecting." 10 years after the Great Departure, Emperor Yi Seojun stood in the Grand Assembly Hall of New Harmony. He wasn't a king or dictator. The humans had elected him to lead their growing empire. Around the hall, representatives from 23 human worlds sat alongside delegates from their alien allies. Today marks a new chapter, Emperor Yi announced. The human colonial empire is no longer just about survival. We are building a better future for all free peoples of the galaxy. In the audience, Fleet Admiral Park Jin-ho watched with pride. His navy now protected 47 star systems. The ships were sleek and fast, built with technology that combined human engineering with alien innovations. But his smile faded as he read the intelligence report on his datapad. Council forces were moving. War was coming. Director Cho Min-sok ran the most advanced spy network in the galaxy. His agents looked like traders, diplomats, and tourists. But they were actually gathering information throughout Council space. The situation is worse than we thought, he reported to the Emperor's War Council. The Council isn't just worried about us, they're terrified. He activated a holographic display showing troop movements. Counselor Veltar is convinced 32 species to support military action. They're calling us a galactic plague that must be stopped. What's their real fear? Asked General Kim Naeon, now commander of all colonial forces. Economics, Cho replied. Our trade network is pulling species away from Council control. In the past year alone, 8 more civilizations have joined us. The Council's tax income has dropped by 40%. Ambassador Han Soo-young leaned forward. It's not about taxes. It's about power. For 3,000 years, the Council controlled who could trade with whom. We proved that's not necessary. Emperor Yi studied the star charts. Red zones showed Council military buildup. Blue zones showed the growing independent alliance. The two were starting to touch at the borders. How long before they act? He asked. Soon, Director Cho said grimly. Our sources say Veltar is planning something called Operation Cleansing. They want to destroy our fleet and force our colonies to surrender. Captain Ryu Yunbi flew her Phantom fighter through an asteroid field near the border. Her squadron was on patrol, watching for Council scouts. The new fighters were invisible to most sensors, perfect for reconnaissance. Phantom leader, this is Control, came the voice in her helmet. We're reading massive energy signatures in Sector 7. Investigate and report. Yunbi changed course toward the coordinates. What she found made her heart race. A Council battle. Fleet was gathering. Over 200 ships, including their massive dreadnoughts. Control, this is Phantom leader. I count 230 enemy vessels. 15 dreadnoughts, 40 cruisers. The rest are destroyers and fighters. Copy that, Phantom leader. Return to base immediately. But as Yunbi turned to leave, her sensors detected something else. The ships weren't just gathering. They were loading weapons. Big weapons. Planet-killer weapons. Back on New Harmony, the War Council met in emergency session. The holographic display showed the Council fleet in terrifying detail. They're not planning to conquer us, Fleet Admiral Park said quietly. They're planning to eliminate us completely. Planet-killer weapons? Emperor Yi's face was pale. They would commit genocide? Veltar believes we're an infection, Ambassador, Han explained. He thinks the only cure is to burn out every trace of human influence in the galaxy. General Kim stood up. Then we fight. Our ships are faster and our tactics are better. We can win. Against those numbers? Director Cho shook his head. They have 10 ships for every one of ours. Emperor Yi was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was steady but sad. Send a message to all our allies. Tell them what we've discovered. Let them decide if they want to stand with us. The response was swift and overwhelming. The Kepler Collective voted unanimously to fight alongside humanity. The Tau Centauri Free States mobilized their trading fleets for war. The Vegan Mining Consortium offered to supply weapons and materials. But the biggest surprise came from an unexpected source. Admiral Zexthon was a career Council officer. He had served for 40 years, believing in the Council's mission to bring order to the galaxy. But as he read the orders for Operation Cleansing, his faith cracked. You want me to use planet killers against civilians? he asked Counselor Veltar. Via secure communication. The humans are a disease. Veltar replied coldly. Diseases must be burned out completely. No mercy. No survivors. Zexthon closed the communication and stared out at his fleet. 300 ships under his command. Good crews who believed they were fighting for justice. They had no idea they were being asked to commit mass murder. He made a decision that would change galactic history. Director Cho's spy network detected the first crack in Council unity when Admiral Zexathon's flagship left the main fleet. Then 2 more ships followed, then 10, then 50. What's happening? Emperor Yi asked as reports flooded in. Zexthon is defecting, Cho said in amazement. He's bringing a third of the Council fleet with him. Within hours, Admiral Zexthon's ships arrived at the edge of human space. The alien admiral requested permission to speak directly with Emperor Yi. The meeting took place aboard the neutral station that Captain Shin had built for diplomatic talks. Zexthon was tall and blue-skinned, with silver eyes that had seen too much war. Your Imperial Majesty, he began formally. I come to warn you and to ask for asylum for my crews. You're welcome here, Admiral. What warning do you bring? Veltar has lost his mind. He plans to use planet-killer weapons against every human world. Not just military targets, entire planets. Billions of innocent beings will die. Emperor Yi felt cold. When? The attack begins in 6 days. The remaining Council fleet will strike at your border worlds first, then move toward New Harmony. Why are you telling us this? Why betray your own people? Zexthon's silver eyes blazed with anger. Because they are no longer my people. I joined the Council Navy to protect civilization, not to destroy it. What Veltar plans is not war, it's extinction. Fleet Admiral Park immediately began moving the human fleet into defensive positions. The tactics were clear: use speed and mobility to hit the enemy before they could use their planet killers. Captain Ryu Yunbi led the Phantom squadrons in constant patrols. Her fighters could appear anywhere, strike fast, and disappear. Perfect for harassment and reconnaissance. But as the human forces prepared, something unexpected happened. More Council ships began defecting. First, a few destroyers from Admiral Thex's crystal species. Then a cruiser squadron from the peaceful Alterian Republic. They're horrified by the genocide order, Director Cho reported. Entire species are reconsidering their Council membership. The Alterian Council sent a secret message. We remember how humans saved us from the plague. We will not stand by while they are murdered. 3 more species withdrew from the Council fleet. 2 others refused to send ships at all. Veltar's coalition was falling apart before the war even began, but the remaining forces were still massive. Even reduced, the Council fleet had 3 times as many ships as the humans and their allies. Emperor Yi addressed the combined fleets via holographic broadcast. Human crews, alien allies, and Council defectors all listened as their leader spoke. My friends, in 6 days we face the greatest test in our history, not just for humanity, but for the idea that free peoples can choose their own destiny. The Council says we're dangerous because we refuse to bow. They're right. We are dangerous. To tyrants, to those who would enslave others, to anyone who believes might makes right. We didn't ask for this war. We only wanted to live free among the stars. But if they force us to fight, we'll show them what free people can accomplish when they stand together. For freedom, for justice, for the future of every species that refuses to kneel. The cheers echoed across space, from human ships to alien vessels to Council defectors. An alliance that had begun with exiled humans now included dozens of species, united by common values. Admiral Zexthon approached Emperor Yi after the broadcast. Your Majesty, I have one more piece of information, something that might tip the balance. What is it? The Council's planet killer weapons have a weakness. They need to charge for 10 minutes before firing. If we can hit them during that window, we can stop the genocide, Emperor Yi finished. The plan was desperate and dangerous. Split the fleet into small, fast groups. Hit the enemy from multiple directions. Focus everything on destroying the planet killers before they could fire. It too was exactly the kind of crazy, brilliant strategy that had made humans so dangerous to the old order. As the fleets prepared for battle, one last message came from Council Space. High Arbiter Thex himself, speaking directly to Emperor Yi. Human leader, there is still time to avoid this catastrophe. Surrender now. Submit to Council authority. Your people will be relocated but allowed to live. Emperor Yi's response was brief. We'd rather die free than live as slaves. The storm was about to break, and when it did, the galaxy would never be the same. The Battle of Titan's Gate began at dawn on New Harmony. Captain Nahanul stood on the bridge of her destroyer Freedom's Edge, watching enemy ships appear on her sensors. The Council fleet was massive, over 400 vessels emerging from quantum tunnels. All ships, this is Supreme Commander Li Jiho, came the voice over the fleet communications. Execute Plan Phoenix, remember, hit the planet killers first. The human fleet split into 12 groups, each attacking from a different direction. It looked like chaos, but it was carefully planned chaos. Admiral Kim Yejin had studied Council tactics for months. She knew they expected traditional battle lines. Captain Na's group targeted the lead dreadnought. Its planet killer weapon was already charging, energy building in its massive gun. 8 minutes until they can fire, her weapons officer reported. Then, we have 8 minutes to stop them, Na replied. All ships attack pattern Delta. Focus everything on their main weapon. The human ships moved like dancers, weaving between enemy fire. Their smaller size and better engines let them dodge attacks that would have destroyed larger vessels. Meanwhile, Captain Ryu Yunbi led her Phantom squadrons in the most dangerous mission of all. While the big ships fought, her fighters had to slip past enemy defenses and plant charges directly on the planet killer weapons. Phantom 1 to all wings, she broadcast. Remember, we only get one chance at this. Make it count. Her fighter vanished in a quantum jump, reappearing behind the enemy dreadnought. Council fighters tried to stop her, but the Phantoms were too fast and too unpredictable. The battle raged for 6 hours. Ships exploded on both sides. Heroes died to save their friends. But slowly, the human tactics began to work. Admiral Zexthon commanded the defector ships with skill and honor. His blue-skinned crews fought alongside humans and aliens as equals. When a human destroyer was surrounded, Zexthon's cruiser charged in to save them. This is what the galaxy should be, he told his bridge crew. Different species working together, not one ruling over others. The turning point came when Captain Na's group destroyed the first planet killer. The massive weapon exploded in a ball of fire that lit up space. But there were 11 more dreadnoughts, 11 more planet killers. Admiral Kim Yejin watched the battle from her command ship. Her tactical display showed the fighting across 3 star systems. The Council had more ships, but the Alliance had better coordination. Admiral, her communications officer reported, we're getting surrender signals from 5 Council cruiser squadrons. They want to switch sides. Accept their surrender and give them new targets, Yejin ordered. Everyone who wants to fight for freedom is welcome. The Council fleet was falling, apart. More ships defected every hour. Some species remembered how humans had helped them in the past. Others were simply disgusted by Veltar's genocide plan. But Veltar himself refused to give up. From his flagship, he screamed orders at his remaining forces. Kill them all, show no mercy. The humans must be destroyed. His flagship still had its planet killer weapon. If it reached New Harmony, billions would die. Supreme Commander Li Jiho made a desperate decision. He ordered his own flagship to ram Veltar's dreadnought. It was suicide, but it would save New Harmony. Sir, wait, came a voice over the radio. It was Captain Nahanul. I have a better idea. Her damaged destroyer was barely holding together, but she had positioned herself perfectly. As Veltar's ship charged its weapon, Na's ship fired every missile it had directly into the planet killer's energy core. The explosion was massive. Veltar's flagship broke in half. The reptilian councilors' last words were lost in the fire. With their leader dead and most of their fleet defected or destroyed, the remaining council forces surrendered, But the war wasn't over. The real victory came in what happened next. 6 months after the battle, diplomat Song Woo-jin stood in the same crystal chamber where humans had been banished 10 years earlier. But now the room was different. Representatives from 67 species filled the seats: humans, former council members, and completely new civilizations. High Arbiter Thex, his crystal body dim with age and regret, officially dissolved the old Galactic Council. "We have failed in our duty to serve all peoples," he admitted. "It is time for something new." Emperor Yi Seojun, now elected as the first Chancellor of the Galactic Federation, took the podium. "Today we write a new chapter in galactic history. Not the rule of the strong over the weak, but partnership between equals." The Treaty of New Harmony was signed by all 67 species. It established principles that would govern the galaxy for generations: free trade, shared technology, democratic representation, and the right of every species to choose its own path. Admiral Kim Yejin became the first Supreme Admiral of the Mar Federation fleet. Her job wasn't to conquer, but to protect member worlds and explore new regions of space. Dr. Bae Kyung-soo shared his terraforming technology with all Federation members. Within 5 years, dead worlds throughout the galaxy bloomed with life. Captain Ryu Yunbi started the Federation Flight Academy, teaching pilots from dozens of species to work together. Her mixed squadrons became symbols of unity across the stars. The old council still existed, but it was reduced to governing 12 species in a small corner of the galaxy. They spent their time arguing about regulations while the Federation explored new worlds and made new discoveries. Admiral Zexthon became the Federation's Minister of Justice. His first act was to establish courts that treated all species equally, regardless of size or technology level. 5 years after the Treaty of New Harmony, Chancellor Yi stood once again before the Federation Assembly. But this time the news was different. "Fellow beings," he announced, "today I have the honor of welcoming our newest members to the Federation. Please join me in greeting the Democratic Republic of Altair, the Free Worlds of Rigel, and the United Colonies of Proxima." The applause filled the chamber. Each new member meant more trade, more knowledge, more friends among the stars. Director Cho Min-seok, now head of Federation Intelligence, approached the Chancellor after the session. "Sir, we've received a message from the old council. They want to discuss rejoining the galactic community." Yi smiled. "Tell them they're welcome to apply for Federation membership. Same rules as everyone else. Democracy, free trade, and respect for all species. And if they refuse, then they can sit in their corner and argue about the good old days while the rest of the galaxy moves forward." That evening, Yi walked through the streets of New Harmony. The city had grown into a true galactic capital. Humans lived alongside dozens of alien species. Children of different worlds played together in parks. Markets sold goods from across the galaxy. He stopped at a memorial dedicated to all who had died in the fight for freedom. Human names were carved alongside alien ones. Captain Na Hanul's name was at the top, honoring her sacrifice. A young human girl approached him. She couldn't have been more than 8 years old. "Are you really the Chancellor?" she asked. "I am. What's your name?" "Kim Soo-jin. My teacher says you used to be an emperor. Why did you give that up?" Yi knelt down to her level. "Because emperors rule over people. Chancellors serve people. I'd rather serve than rule." "Will there be more wars?" Yi looked up at the stars visible through the city's crystal dome. Ships from 100 worlds moved between them, carrying trade and friendship across the galaxy. "I hope not, Soo-jin, but if there are, we'll face them together. All of us as equals." The little girl smiled and ran back to her friends, a group that included a young Alterian, 2 Kepler Collective children, and a small Tau Centaurian. Chancellor Yi watched them play and remembered Captain Do-hyun's words from 10 years ago. "You have no idea what we're capable of when we set our minds to it." The Council had wanted to destroy humanity. Instead, they had created something beautiful, a galaxy where freedom mattered more than power, where cooperation trumped conquest, where even the smallest species had a voice. Earth was no longer banned from galactic civilization. Earth had become the heart of a new kind of civilization entirely. As Yi walked home through the peaceful streets, he whispered the words that had become the Federation motto. From many worlds, one galaxy. From many species, one future. The human age had begun, and it was glorious.